I used to have a wealth manager. I used to have wealth also. And fun couple of years, now we're back here. So, I only got this guy because I don't know what to do with money. People started asking questions like, Kanan, what do you do with your money? What do I do? I throw it in the air. It's like, no, Kanan, where is your money? It's in the bank. Apparently, that's very stupid now. To put money in the bank. Do you know that? It's very dumb. People are like, money in the bank? Oh, fucking dumb fuck. Fucking in the bank. Yeah. I told him he's dumb. Bro, what about inflation? What about inflation? Dude, something is there about. Everyone brings up inflation and does not explore the subject. Like you ask people, what is inflation? Like inflation, bro, it's crazy, dude. What is it, dude? It's crazy, dude. It's like these days, it's like 8:38. 20, 27. It's a lot, bro. It's crazy. Something divided by something into 100 is 8. That's bad. Nobody knows. Dude, the purchasing power of the rupee has decreased. So don't do it. No. Increase it. With rupee, you can buy less now. So I'll buy more. What is the problem? People say, don't put money in your bank. Invest money. Invest. What does that mean? Buy shares? No. The stock market actually is very volatile. So make a safe investment, like a mutual index, term, systematic fund plan. Right? You're like, oh, what do? They buy shares. But it's safe if strangers do it for you with no consequence. So I got this wealth manager dude, and I wanted to make a retirement plan, okay? Because I was young and ambitious. And so first question they ask you on retirement plan, you'll love this. They say, when would you like to retire, right? Like, great question, 7:30. Thank you for asking. Very considerate. Second question, more exciting hypothetical. What would you like your post-retirement lifestyle to be like? And dude, this is what all the suffering is for, right? The post-retirement lifestyle. So imagine you're like, okay, post-retirement, I wanna be able to go anywhere, do anything, buy anything. Basics, at least this much. If you tell this to a financial professional, they don't think it's a joke. I've told this dude, he's doing maths. He's like, okay. Buy anything. Okay. This is basic maths. This is advanced maths. When you know there are 15. And he gave me a figure, if you're interested. It takes about 100 crores. To do that, yeah. So if you, about, huh? What about 97? No, you need for inflation. Last question on retirement plan. My favorite question. They ask, when will you die? Really, they ask, because you need enough money from your date of retirement till your death. So when are you planning to die? This wealth manager looks at me like, look, you're 33 now, you will die 70, so then we have to make... He just said it. He just said you will die 70. And he moved on. I was like, dude, what is this? How have you determined my lifespan? What happens if I live beyond 70? So, you won't have money. That's why you should die at the allotted time. Dude, it's so scary. I asked him, the wealth manager, I was like, well, when will you die? Huh? He's like, oh, actually, I don't die. All wealth managers are immortal. Originally, there was one, and from him we reproduce. Asexually. Because no one will fuck us. Nor should they. Yes, offense. All investment people in the audience, please take offense and invest it. Dude, I just can't believe that's the number one way to make money in the world is financial investment. Yuck. Not having a skill, you just take money someone else made, put it into a company someone else runs, and you wait. When something happens, you become rich. Yay. All your financial dreams are slated to fail, so give them up. That is the moral of this story. I started touring with a full joke about NFTs here. That industry collapsed before I could finish the joke.
I tell you what did it for me with gender neutral titles, that I was doing a gig recently in Berlin, and I take a shit for the gig, right? This thing, I get nervous sometimes. I'm like, I need to do this. Maybe they won't like me. You know what I mean? So I go over this shit, right? And I had about 10 pints of Guinness the night before, right? So listen, most of you know what that does to your insides. What you shit out is like a Dementor from Harry Potter coming out of you, you know? Like when we were growing up, if my father had 10 pints of Guinness the night before, we'd be sent to our cousins the next day, you know? Because my mother was honestly afraid it would stunt her growth. If I'm honest, she knew the house would be like Chernobyl, you know? So anyway, I was taking this shit, you know, and I was just like, you know, it's just a bad one, you know, you're just sweating and you're kind of contorting into yourself, and I got up off the toilet and my legs were like the legs of a baby calf. They were shaking. I was gone blind in one eye, you know, I was muttering to myself in Hebrew for some reason, you know. And again, you just felt that deep, deep, deep shit shame, you know. I'm no good. My father was right about me. And I stumbled over to the door of the toilet. I opened up the door. Who was waiting outside? The most beautiful German woman you've ever seen in your life. And her little 4-year-old German daughter. And her daughter was just looking up at me with this little smiley German head in her. And I knew she wasn't going to be smiling for long, you know. She wasn't even going to be German for long, you know what I mean? Like, it's the kind of shit that'd turn you Dutch, you know. Like, after she goes into that toilet, she's just going to be from that toilet. Like, that's where the rest of her life begins, you know. And I tried to look at the mother and plead with her with my eyes. I tried to plead with her like, you can't let her in there. She's innocent, you know. Like, if she goes in there, she'll just know Santa's not real, you know, like, she'll know 9/11 was an inside job, you know, she'll know Bush was involved, you know. But you can't say anything. What can you say? You can't be like, oh, you know, you can't do it. So all I could do, I came out, I was sweating, hunched over, and all I managed to say was, sorry, and I just fucking scuttled away like a little rat, you know. And man, I know that girl. That little girl, like, she's going to be in fucking therapy, you know. Like, 20 years from now, she's going to be, like, lying down on a couch, and a therapist is going to be like, and in France, it's a pain start, Matilda. I remember waiting outside the toilet with my mother. I remember feeling happy. I haven't felt that way since. So next thing I remember, a guilty, sweaty man left the toilet. And he said he was sorry. If he didn't know why, we would soon find out. So next thing I remember, I woke up on the bathroom floor and I couldn't feel my legs. And my mother, she was screaming, it burns, it burns! My mother didn't talk to me much after that. She said I reminded her of the shits. She would want to kill herself a year later. Her suicide note had 2 lines. Guinness shit. It was a Guinness shit. I'm sorry, I have to take a moment in the bathroom, I'm sorry. And the therapist is like, Matilda, I wouldn't go in there, I've been eating a lot of ethnic food. Oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever written.
It's so good to be back in Scotland, to be honest, right? Because I started the year, went over to Australia, went over there to do like Melbourne, Sydney Comedy Festival and that. Very exciting, right? It was a big deal for me. It was the first time I got to go to another country to do comedy, right? Which means it was the first time I ever had to fill out a working visa to get into a country, because usually I'm just going on holiday. And it's very scary, that form to get into Australia, right? There's loads of questions. The big one is, they really want to know if you're a criminal, right? So it's like, have you had any prior convictions? And they're all there, right? Burglary, everything's there, right? And I'll be honest, given the history of that country, I genuinely didn't know if they wanted me to tick yes or no. I was like, oh, fuck it. I didn't want them to think I'm a pussy. Put me down for an assault. Get my rep up a bit here. The guy at the border was like, this assault? Was it racially motivated? I went, yes. And he was like, I'll get in, mate. The first place I landed in Australia was Perth, right? And if you've never been, like, Perth's big thing is that it's the most isolated city in the world, and it fucking feels like it. And because of that, in this country, if I say the word junkie, right, immediately what you think of is a heroin addict, right? That's our thing. We're very good at it in Scotland, right? We made a film about it, right? We're class at it, right? Now, the thing about heroin, of course, it's a horrible drug, very scary, right? But the good thing about it is it does make the people that take it very docile. You know what I mean? You didn't really feel like getting up too much after a good batch, The problem with Perth is it's so far away from anywhere else that, like, none of the cartels bother to go there. So there's like no heroin, no cocaine, nothing like that, right? But what you can make anywhere, if you've got a kitchen, is meth. Right? And I know I've framed that in such a way that sounds like I'm going to be like, and if you stay around to the end of the show, I've got a great recipe. But meth is everywhere, and if you've never been around meth, it does not make people docile. No, meth heads are up for a wee adventure. Couldn't believe it, man. The first time I got to Perth, I was wandering around the city centre and I was like, oh my God, this city has so many silent discos. And I was like, wait a minute, none of these people are wearing headphones. And I think that guy's bleeding. So that was the first place I went, right? And of course, if anyone's been, it's a 24-hour flight. You land, you're upside down, the water's going the other way. You don't know what time it is. You don't know if it's New Year or New York, right? So I landed at about 7 p.m. Perth time, right? My agent had organised for me the next morning at 6 a.m. to be on a local Perth radio station to promote the shows that I was there to do, right? So, of course, I don't know what is happening. They're very nice. They sent a taxi to the hotel to pick me up. Right, I just got in it blindly. It could have been the fake taxi for all I know, I don't know if I was going to get pumped or dropped off, but I got in. But anyway, I get to the station, it's all nice. They're being really nice to me. They get me coffee, they're making me feel dead comfortable and that, right? And what I didn't know, I'd never done live radio before, but it makes sense, when they're bringing you in to do your live interview and that, they have to play a pre-recorded bit of radio while they're getting you set up. But when you're in the studio, you can't hear that, right? Someone can hear it in their headphones, but you can't hear it. And what I had no idea, they were playing this pre-recorded kind of interview debate piece about the Australian women's football team, right? They call them the Matildas. And it was quite a heated debate thing. I had no idea, right? So I get brought in, and it's a female presenter on the thing, and she brings me in, she's like, I'm joined here by Scottish stand-up comedian Connor Burns. He's doing some shows in Perth, but before we get to that, Connor, why do you think women's sports isn't taken seriously? Excuse me? I thought you were going to ask me if I miss Iron Brew. Didn't realise I was here to fix the gender pay gap. Oh, I would have revised, you know? And you know what? She saw that I was panicking and starting to squirm a bit, and she was fucking loving it. She was like, "I'm a stand-up comedian, lost for words, first time for everything on." I was like, fuck! My career was disappearing in front of me, right? And I'm convinced in my panic, I came out with the single worst possible answer to that question anyone could have said, right? I just started to panic. I was like, I'll watch women do anything. She looked at me, she was like, Then I panicked again. I was like, no, like, I'll watch men as well. I'd been in the country for less than 12 hours. I've just told thousands of people on morning radio that I'm a peeping Tom. I'd done 4 shows in Perth, not a single woman came to any of them. Apparently it wasn't safe. Just a bunch of angry guys. It was like an Andrew Tate convention. It was sad. I really did enjoy my time there, man. I got to do some of the best gigs in my career over there as well. They really spoiled me. I got to perform at the Sydney Opera House, right? Yeah, I know. I'm very working class, right? And I'll be honest with you, as a working class person, there's a wee voice, you know, when you get a big opportunity like that to play at the Opera House, there's always that wee voice in your head that's just going, who the fuck do you think you are, right? Do you think these people give a shit what you've got to say, really? Right? And I started to get nervous. I was freaking out. It was being filmed for Australian TV. I was really starting to get nervous, right? So I went and found one of the other comedians who was also going to be on the show, and he's a mate of mine. And I went, mate, I'm freaking out a wee bit here. All right, I'm starting to get to myself. And he went, oh, Connor, you know what's wrong with you? Right? And I always stick around for the end of that sentence. Yeah. Nothing like being diagnosed by someone who I also know is mentally ill, right? He was like, you know what's wrong with you, mate? He went, you've got imposter syndrome. Right? Have we heard this? Because it used to be, if you were shite at something, rightfully, you were ashamed of yourself, right? But, you know, don't let lack of talent hold you back now. But I'll be honest, I was quite excited when I found out that I had imposter syndrome, right? And I was like, this could be good for the brand, shift a few tickets, you know? I was excited. Plus, I'll be honest, I thought, well, maybe I can get myself a disabled parking badge here. Because I live in the centre of Edinburgh, fucking nightmare trying to get parked through there. I went down to the DVLA office, right? I went in, the guy was like, what exactly is the condition that you have? And I went, oh, buddy. I'm actually struggling right now with imposter syndrome. He went, and you think that entitles you to a disabled parking badge, do you? And I went, well, to be honest, mate, now that you've put it like that, I kind of feel like I don't even deserve to be here. He went, Connor, this is one of the worst cases I've ever seen. You park wherever you want, son. I loved my time in Australia, man. I really, really did. Has anyone here been to Australia? Couple, nice, man. Well, maybe you will agree with me here. The thing I loved about Australia is I got to experience something over there as a Scotsman that I've never experienced here, right? I got to be exotic. And I'll be honest with you, it's class, right? Because they love the Scottish accent, right? But by way of making some noise, anyone here who isn't Scottish or that, do you find the Scottish accent sexy? You know what the fucked up part is? I actually agree with you. I think it's all bullshit that Hollywood has like tricked women into thinking that Scottish accent's sexy. Because I know my girlfriend's American. She was all excited when she first came here. She's like, I'm gonna fall in love with a Scotsman. Like the idea of a Scottish accent, there's not one. You know what I mean? Imagine being American, coming over here, love-struck eyes, and being like, I want to meet a nice Scotsman. And you end up getting shagged by some guy for Fife. Say, oh, I keep going like that, I'm going to kick in my breeks, eh? That's a mood killer, that. You know what? My agent specifically asked me not to make any of the jokes in this too Scottish. Because she's like, we don't know what part of the world people are going to be watching it. But I was like, I'm keeping that one in. Because the idea of someone in like Tennessee watching this and be like, what the hell is kicking my brakes? Sounds a little fruity to me. It's not just Scottish that gets like a wee leg up from Hollywood as well. I think Hollywood's done a lot of good for Irish as well, right? Because the Americans are always like, oh my God, Irish guys, oh, it's so sexy, it's so hot. Right? I cannot think of anything more sexually terrifying than going to bed with someone with a Belfast accent. Just put your trousers next to mine. Lay back, I'm gonna blow you away. That's scary. By the way, has anyone seen that viral video about the taxi driver in Belfast? Has anyone seen this? Oh man, it was nuts. So this taxi driver is also like a bit of a gangster, but he drives taxis on the side, right? And he picks up a guy, and unbeknownst to him, the guy gets in, and it's a guy that owes him drug money. Right, so the Belfast taxi driver goes into his glove compartment and takes out a handgun, right? Forgetting that his cab is being filmed, and starts shaking down this passenger, right? And it starts out dead scary. He's like, you know you owed me that money. I got half a mind to drive you down here and take your kneecaps, lad. Right? But then, the reason I love this clip is it turns into the most Irish back and forth you've ever seen in your life. Because it starts out dead scary, right? And then eventually the guy in the back starts to cry. And the driver just goes, sure now, there's no need to cry. We all make mistakes, lad. Pull yourself together. I'll give you another fortnight, but then I'm coming for the kneecaps. Oh, wow, how reasonable. But it's great, man. Having the Scottish accent, it's absolutely nuts over there. Like, they really do like it over in Australia. Like, I was wandering about one day, just in Sydney, right? And this woman came up to ask for directions. And she's like, excuse me, do you know the way to Darling Harbour? And I'd been, so I went, oh, aye, no worries. I just go to the bottom of the street and then turn right. And she went, oh my God, are you Scottish? Yeah, I was like, oh, here we go. You know, because I'm not a piece of meat. It's like, why do they never ask me how I feel? I've got a long-term girlfriend, right, and like I was not over there trying to catch any snapper, right? That's not my modus operandi. So I was over there and I was like, I don't know how to deal with flirting, I'll be honest, because I've never been flirted with in this country, right? Because I know what I look like. I'm not the best-looking guy, not the worst-looking guy, just aggressively plain. My best mate summed it up perfectly. He was like, Connor, do you know what you look like? Do you know when you start playing a computer game? You get your character. But you haven't changed any of the settings yet. So you look like player one. Right? So I'm not used to being flirted with, right? And Aussie women, they're very direct with their flirting. I couldn't handle it, right? And I love my girlfriend. I wasn't going to do anything stupid. So I came up with a wee plan, right? Anytime an Aussie woman started flirting with me, I would just nip it right in the bud by pretending to be South African. Now, I like South African people, man, they're good people, but you've got to admit, that's an unshaggable accent. It's too percussive and angry, it's scary, you know? Like, you imagine she asked me for directions, like, excuse me, do you know the way to Darling Harbour? I'm just like, yeah, no problem, I can take you there myself, Why are you running away? I'm trying to help you. Come on, take me back to your place. Maybe I could shoot you through the bathroom door. I'll just let that one digest. And by the way, to the one or two sick people that tried to start a round of applause there, I love you with all my heart. Although that is a scary joke to get a clap on, right? Because it's very dark in here, and part of me is like, oh my God, maybe he's here and he's running towards me. You know? That might be his wee spatula feet on the tiles. I looked him up recently, Oscar Pistorius, not like in the yellow pages, like, mate, what you doing? Because like I was quite young when all that happened, and I knew like he was a horrible guy. I knew he'd killed his girlfriend, but I didn't know that much about him, right? Obviously, he's a sprinter, so fast in the Paralympics that they put him into the Olympics, right? Unbelievable. Anyone know what Oscar Pistorius ran 100 metres in? 10.9 seconds, which is rapid. Legged. But unlegged. Unbelievable. Unheard of, right? And I was going down on this wee wormhole looking this stuff up, and then I also discovered the fastest female sprinter of all time, right? Anyone know what she runs 100 metres in? A wee bikini. To be honest, that one's kind of just for me. No, I looked it up. She runs it in 10.7 seconds, right? She's 0.2 of a second quicker than Pistorius, which is amazing. Very, very impressive, right? But like 0.2 of a second, that's not much, right? That's like, you know, a bad start, a wee slip, a sneeze, right? And the fastest woman of all time running full pelt could still be overtaken by a guy with spatulas for feet. Now, I'm just presenting you with some information. But I'll be honest, when I read that, the first thing that popped into my mind was, you know, maybe, just maybe, that is why women's sports isn't taken seriously. Right, I understand the women are a bit pissed off now, right? I'm just messing about. This is a God's honest truth. I made all of the numbers up there. None of that's true. The fastest female sprinter is actually an entire second quicker than Oscar Pistorius. But you didn't care about that. You believed me. Because I'm a man. All right? And I want to be clear, sisters, I think that's fucked up. But it doesn't make it any less true. All right?
I got married recently. It's quite exciting. My wife, me and my wife, we're called an interracial couple. I'm brown, she's interracial. No, she's a white lady, right? She likes to exercise, she likes to work out, she likes to do yoga. She tries to get me to do yoga. I'm like, don't force your culture onto me. All right? We're very similar in a lot of ways, but in a couple of key ways we're different. Like how quickly we fall asleep. I take half an hour to fall asleep. Her head, as soon as it hits the pillow, she's gone. It's like, how good was your childhood that you're not spending 30 minutes just processing trauma? I'm doing right shoulder, left shoulder, leg in, leg out. She's snoring the whole time. And she likes to listen to true crime podcasts as she goes to sleep. But she falls asleep in seconds, so now it's just me and the podcast. And I'm hearing it come out of her headphones, and it's going, and his head was separated from his body. It's terrifying, right? Very concerning. Another little way me and my wife are different is how we watch movies. Like, together, we'll pick a nice movie, and then I'll sit down and do this crazy, insane thing where I'll watch the movie. She's immediately on her phone, the Instagram, TikTok, 2 inches from her face. When she's feeling ambitious, she gets a secondary headphone, secondary video. Right? Like, we're watching Shogun. She doesn't know Japanese. She doesn't care. She hasn't looked up at the screen in 45 seconds. How do I know? Because I'm not looking at the screen either. I'm counting the seconds looking at her. Now, no one's watching the screen, right? Sometimes she'll come to my shows, sit in the back, and watch videos of Jerry Seinfeld. She's like, this guy's great. You should be more like him. Another way we're different is our walking speed, right? One of us walks a little faster than I'm the slow walker. Of course I'm the... What a twist! What a twist. Of course I'm the slow walker. I need hydration to talk to you guys for an hour. But here's the thing, right? As the fast walker, she can walk slower much more easily than I can walk faster. But she doesn't because she's inconsiderate. It's so much easier to walk slower if you're the faster one, but she doesn't do it. The big concession she's made now is she'll walk 50 steps ahead, pull over, and wait for me to catch up. Then I'll finally catch up. She's gone again. I'm about to... From a distance, it looks like we're doing high-impact interval training. It's brutal, you know? Recently, we were on one of these adjacent walks, and we bumped into some friends. And they were like, what's wrong? Are you fighting? You're walking 50 feet apart. I was like, we're not fighting. She's just inconsiderate. I was like, it sounds like you're fighting. And I was like, it looks bad to friends. It must look even worse to strangers. Because what they see is a small white lady walking quickly, nervously looking over her shoulder. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're seeing a crime happen in real time. Someone please call the cops. But that's love. Love is fascinating, right? Because every Hollywood movie tells us love is the most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. The most powerful feeling you'll ever feel. I don't know if that's true. Like, have you ever been in the leftmost lane with the green left arrow, but the dude in front of you wants to go straight? You know, the vicious rage you feel? Have you ever felt that much love for anyone? And it's not even anger, right? It's other feelings as well, like fear. Like, have you ever locked eyes with a cockroach and seen it take flight? When a 2D problem becomes a 3D problem. That's not even my biggest fear. Right? My biggest fear is seeing an end school zone sign without having seen the first sign. Now you're telling me I can't do anything about it now? It's brutal, right? I was like, okay, maybe love is the most powerful. Maybe it's the most resilient, right? Because why do we unguard ourselves so much in the pursuit of love? Maybe it's the most resilient. And I was like, yeah, that sounds nice. And I believed it for years. Until I caught up with a mate of mine that I hadn't seen for ages. And he went, Suraj, I just got married. She's an amazing lady. The greatest thing that ever happened to me. I'd take a bullet for her. I'd die for her. I went, fantastic. Then I caught up with him 6 months later. I was like, how's it going? He's like, don't even say her name. I was like, what happened to the bullet thing? That's when I realized romantic love is actually the most fragile, right? It can be everything one day, nothing the next. In fact, every other kind of love is more resilient than romantic love. Like, take, for example, I love pizza. 10 years from now, I'm gonna love pizza. That is more guaranteed than all our romantic loves put together. Isn't that terrifying? Like 10 years from now, you'll be in Woolies with a partner different to the one you have now. You look over to the freezer section and see a pizza and you go, I bet Suraj still loves pizza. And I wish her the best wherever she is. The lady I took to Suraj's show. You know? Coming over to Australia as well, like, I knew English fluently, but I didn't know all, like, the sayings and idioms and catchphrases. And you really need those to effectively communicate. Like, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What does that mean? That means there's more than one way to do something. Just fucking say that. Why are we butchering Fluffy here? It's not even shorter, right? So I thought, okay, let me learn all the idioms, all the sayings. And I thought I'd learn all of them. But there was one I didn't know. I thought had a domestic meant had a domestic flight. So I went to work the next day. They were like, how's your weekend? I was like, terrible. They're like, what happened? I was like, I had the worst domestic. They're like, oh my God, why? I was like, first of all, the food was terrible. They're like, what an abusive asshole this guy is. They're like, maybe you just need more space. I'm like, yeah, but that costs extra. Lately, I've been trying to get into better shape, right? I realized I'd started to get too fat. I probably realized I was getting too fat when I stopped fitting in my wristwatch. That's how you know you've been getting fat for a while, right? Because no one's like, as soon as I eat, it goes straight to my wrist. That's one of the last places to grow in diameter. There are so many other warning lights going off in the body before the wrist finally just gives out. Do you know how brutal it is? Like, all my friends from high school, they're trying to get back into their wedding dresses. I'm trying to get back into my Casio. Do you know how harsh it is to take the little baggie of links to the Casio shop? They're like, who's that for? That's for me. It's like, please put me back in my watch. I have eaten my way out of knowing the time. Isn't that crazy though? Like, have you ever gotten so fat you don't know what time it is? It's like fourth dimensionally fat, right? Like I'm behind the bookcase pushing the books out. Sure, they're mostly cookbooks, but whatever. It's tough, you know? So lately I've been thinking, you know, I gotta get into better shape. How can I do it? Like I went to my doctor and one of the things that made me really want to reconsider was when on Instagram, unprompted, an ice cream shop started following me. They're like, this will be good for our business, actually, if we get into the ground floor with this guy. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, you're pre-diabetic. I'm like, oh, that sounds bad. Do I have diabetes or don't I? He's like, both. Because everything else, you either have it or you don't, right? No one's like, oh, you keep going to that nightclub, you're 3 weeks pre-herpes. You either have it or you don't. So now I'm like concerned about my health. I'm like, oh my God, my liver, all this kind of stuff. I'm taking an Uber back from the doctor's place. And the guy that was driving me, he was also like this in shape, like personal trainer kind of guy. And we had a beautiful like 20-minute conversation where he was guiding me through plans on how I can eat healthier, how I can start exercising. And he gave me this great outline. And it was just a beautiful moment of two strangers connecting, right? And it would have stayed a beautiful moment had he not 15 minutes later also been my Uber Eats driver. The disappointment in his face as he brought a single pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, set it down and took a photo of it. And I'm looking through the drapes and I can see his disappointment and I feel a bit bad as well. But mostly I feel excited because the Ben & Jerry's is here. I was like, this is brutal, you know? Like, do you ever get paranoid at the ice cream parlor? That's how you know I'm out of shape, right? When my stories start like that. But do you ever get paranoid at the ice cream parlor that if you order 2 scoops, they'll give you 2 80% size scoops? That's a big concern of mine, right? So I figured out a way around it, right? This is what I do now. I go in and I go, I'll just have 1 scoop of the chocolate, please. And he gives me a big behemoth chocolate scoop. And I go, I think I'll be bad. I'll have a scoop of strawberry on top of that. Now he's shown me his hand. He's shown me how big a scoop is. He can't put a little cherry-sized scoop on this behemoth scoop. Gotta give me 2 behemoth scoops. I'm like, aha! He's like, Suraj, you come here every week. I'm happy to give you the extra ice cream. We don't have to do this dance. I'm like, I like the dance. Let's do it. I was catching up with family recently, and my cousin, she is what you would call a coconut. Anyone want to describe to me what a coconut is? Yeah. My brown friends here. Yes, exactly. Brown on the outside, white on the inside, right? She was born and raised in California. So she's a California girl, but she looks like me, right? Without the beard. Good for her, right? I remember her mom, my aunt, caught her having done cocaine, but the way she found out was by reading her diary. Which is the least cool way of being caught doing the coolest thing? Because whose life is like, dear diary? How's that your life? But let's talk about something a bit more lighthearted. Do we really need equality? Don't worry, I won't leave after saying that. One day I might, right? But this is what I think, right? My wife, she's studied law and politics her whole life. She's much smarter than me. I know nothing about politics. We both get one vote. I think that's fucked up. We don't do that with anything else, right? We don't do that with science. We don't go, Suraj, the rocket scientists, they think we'll need 3,000 tons of propellant fuel to land this rover on Mars. What do you think? Yeah, well, the other day the fuel light came on in my car, but I still drove all the way to Parramatta. So maybe not 3,000 tons, like 2,780 maybe. There's more in there that they don't tell you about. Like I feel like rockets are built the same way. Because I'm concerned of how much of a dumbass I am for the voting power I have, right? I have these giant gaps in knowledge. Right? Like for the longest time, I thought there were two kinds of coconut. I thought there was the green coconut and the brown hairy coconut. And it wasn't until I cut open a green coconut and pulled the brown hairy coconut out that I realized there's half as many coconuts as I think there are, man. And I've been voting for 13 years. That's terrifying, right? And my favorite thing about that is 1 in every 2 shows, someone comes up after and goes, thank you for the coconut information. It's like tonight's gonna be one of those nights. Just giant gaps in knowledge, right? Like some years ago, I had some stomach issues. I had an endoscopy and a colonoscopy, and I thought they do them both at the same time. I thought they just lay me down flat and like jousting knights come from both sides. Like, you know when 2 buses pass each other and wave? I thought that was gonna happen in my stomach. Just huge gaps in knowledge, right? Like I was born C-section, and I know C-section and cesarean are the same thing, but it took me 27 years to realize the C stood for cesarean. Because I thought they cut a C to make a door to get the baby out. That makes sense, right? In my cartoon head, I'm like, yeah. I was talking to my friend, I was like, I don't know why they make 3 cuts. They should just make 1 cut. He's like, they do make 1 cut. I'm glad they moved away from the door technique. It's a bit barbaric, I think. Just giant gaps in knowledge that I'm walking around with. That's why I think they should have some kind of test before you can vote, right? Like the basics, right? Like, question 1, are you a flat earther? Because right now, there's over 35,000 members in the International Flat Earth Society on both sides of the world. It's concerning, you know? I was visiting with family recently. I've actually started living in Brisbane for a little while to hang out with my grandparents. Because my grandparents are almost 90 now. And so I want to hang out and hear their stories. It's interesting because they're almost 90, I'm 30, and our bodies are decaying at the same rate. Like, I don't know how my grandpa's figured it out, right? But these old Indian guys have something, like all the monks that live in the mountains and stuff. Do you know of the monk that has had his arm up for 50 years? Yeah, you're aware of him, right? Yeah. So this guy's had his arm up for 50 years, and apparently he did that for world peace. So he must be watching the news going, fuck. I'm not helping at all right now. God damn it. Also, apparently after 2 years of agonizing pain, his arm just atrophied, and now he can't lower it. So I think we're giving him too much credit for the last 48. Like, he's trying to lower it. He's bumping into shit trying to lower it. He's pissed off that he can't lower it. Meanwhile, everyone else in the village is pissed off because they can't get a cab. He's got 17 cabs lined up. You know, it's brutal, you know? Like, it makes me wonder, like, because technically his arm has atrophied and now he is technically disabled, right? But he did that to himself. So it's an ethical dilemma. Like, would you give up your seat for him on public transport? On the one hand, he is disabled, so maybe you should. But on the other hand, is there anyone more prepared to stand on the train? This guy's been ready all day. I also like to imagine his housemates getting him to do chores he doesn't want to do. Like, who wants to clean the toilet? Yeah, damn it! I'm glad we're all flying again, you know. Like, when I'm flying, I don't really care what I'm watching. I'm more interested in what the person next to me is watching because it gives me a window into their personality. So I thought they must be doing the same thing. So now to mess with people, I bring my laptop on board and just marathon air crash investigations. Just season after season. And you can see them getting nervous. Like, they don't want to racially profile me, but they do have questions. They're like, why are you taking down notes? Why did you just write fuselage down 3 times? Why did you circle our seats? You know, but it's fun. Like, I waste a lot of time watching a lot of dumb TV, whether it's documentaries or otherwise. Like, you guys know The Voice? Yeah, I watch The Voice. You know, the idea behind The Voice being Hollywood cares too much about people's looks, so we'll turn their chairs away so they can press a button and rotate. But that's not a realistic representation of what Hollywood is. So I thought what would be better was if they had a second button so they could start rotating, press it, and keep rotating. That made sense to me, right? When I was visiting my folks recently, my uncle, like, he's a good dude at heart, but he picks the weirdest time to say stuff, right? The other day, my little cousin, 5 years old, runs in crying. And my uncle goes, what's wrong? My little cousin goes, today, somebody called me ugly. In one of his teachable moments, my uncle goes, there's something beautiful in everyone. And that's where he should have stopped. Instead, he continued with, for you, it might not be the face. A single tear rolled out of his good eye. So, when I was a young teenager, I didn't know a lot about the world, right? Like, do you guys know that the swastika is also a Hindu symbol? Yeah. So, as a teenager, I actually got a swastika tattoo. And it wasn't until a bit later that I realized it's also a Hindu symbol. I think that one's gonna make it. I'll tell you about my parents, man. My parents, they love to argue, right? Like any other ethnic parents, they just love arguing. Give us a yell. Any children of divorce here? Yeah. How old were you, if you don't mind, when your parents got divorced? 16, so it was your fault. from a house of should have been divorced. My parents were like, we could get divorced, or we can stay together and fight for 30 years. That way we can really fuck him up. Right? Like sometimes children of divorce, they feel guilt for their parents breaking up. I feel guilt for them staying together. I feel like I could have put more pressure on their marriage. I was too nice a kid. I was going to bed on time. I was doing my homework. I have survivor's guilt. Their marriage survived, and I have guilt. And it wouldn't even be out of any personal, selfish reasons, right? I wouldn't get 2 Christmases. I'm Hindu. I would stay at 0 Christmases. It would just be for the betterment of the world. But now what's happened is because of, a little bit because of that, I think, me and my wife, we also love an argument, right? We love getting into a few arguments. Do you ever, when you're in an argument with your partner, do you ever think of something so mean to say that you're like, I can't say that. That's way too mean. I can't say, that's way too mean. Then they say one more thing. And you're like, release the hounds. Let's say the worst thing. You're just like your mother. That's just getting warmed up. This next one, if you want to go nuclear, feel free to use this one. You don't have imposter syndrome, you're just not good at your job. That one stays with you. Like 3 weeks after the argument, you're like, fuck. So, like the other day, my wife said to me, sometimes I think you care more about who wins the argument than you do about us. And I said, sounds like I won that argument. I put it up on the board. She doesn't like the board. I'm 17 and 4 in this marriage. I need the people to know. I go tell my therapist, I'm like, I won again. My therapist is like, you don't understand marriage or therapy. Also, I'm your physical therapist. Let me just work on your knee and stop saying you won against your wife. But you end up comparing yourself to other couples. It's only natural. Like, do you have those couples, friends of yours, that are like, oh, we never fight. We never fight. These are the same people that'll take a photo at a wedding and go, we love love. No, don't you just love love? We never fight. Sometimes we quibble, but we never fight. One of my quibble friends got divorced recently, and I've never celebrated more. I called him up, I was like, are you quibbling about custody? What's up? Put your kid on the line, I want to figure out what he did that I could never do.